Hi, everybody. We're at noon now, and I guess I'll just go ahead and get started. There will be some opportunity for questions towards the end, so be sure to make a note of them, and we'll try and tackle what we can. First, again, thank you for attending. I am Rebecca Beeler, the head of serials and the systems librarian here at the library. And today we will be looking at journal updates for 2026, as well as the open access and fee waivers available from the library. There will also be a few things scattered throughout the slides in anticipation of the Winter Olympics that will be starting next week, actually. So I hope you look forward to that. Okay. This session is being recorded, and it and the slides will be available on the library classes webpage. So you'll be able to go back and review it as needed. So let's just go ahead and dive right in. We subscribe to quite a lot of journals from many publishers and societies. Some we get as packages of dozens, hundreds, and even thousands of titles. Others are single journals we subscribe to, and these are the people that we get all of our journals from. You can get to all of our journals from the library's homepage. Under the popular links menu over to the left hand of the page, look for the Find a Book or Journal tab that was recently changed. The library's webpage is also the way to get to all of our other resources, and we'll be looking at the library's webpage towards the end. Most of our journal subscriptions span the calendar year, and this is the time right now, this is the busiest time of the year to take care of those titles that are moving to new publishers, new journals we're getting, and ones that we will no longer receive. So this year, so far, we've had at least 41 titles that have moved from one publisher to another. So let's look at what's happening with our journals this year. First, we'll start with some of the bad news. We are canceling just a handful of titles this year. Annual reviews, we are canceling because there's been relatively zero usage for all the titles we get. However, they may still be available because the publisher runs a program called Subscribe to Open, and if they reach enough threshold of subscribers, they make all the volumes available free to everyone. So they may still be available, it just won't be through our subscription. Diabetologia, that is published by Springer, and it had very low use and a significant cost increase for this year. So we had to cut bait with that one. And then the Journal of Law, Medicine, and Ethics, that's from Cambridge, that also is a victim of no use, very, very little use. There are also a couple of instances where we have what I would want to consider uncooperative publishers. The first is the Journal of the American Association of Laboratory Animal Science. We had just started subscribing to it last year, and I'm sorry, the year before. But in 2025, they decided to change platforms, and then they completely forgot that we paid for a subscription. They could never get it set up. We went back and forth with them the whole time. So basically, we threw that year's money away because they wouldn't give us our money back. So we said, well, we're not going to renew. So hopefully that is a reasonable enough explanation for why we're not getting that journal this year. And then for Diabetes Spectrum, that was ending and being merged into a new title. The new title, however, was 5 times the cost of what Diabetes Spectrum was, which was a few $100s. So now we're talking a journal that was a few $1,000s, and we'll just see where it goes. So we decided to take a break, and we're not subscribing for this year. So that's the bad news for the things that we've actually actively canceled or done something with. There are also some titles. These 4 titles are ceasing publication this year. So we had no hand in doing away with them. There could also be other titles that cease publication throughout the year, but these are the ones we know coming into the beginning of this new subscription year. And finally, we have one weird situation, which is the best way I can say it. The American Journal of Public Health decided that starting with this year, they would no longer sell direct subscriptions to institutions via their website. So we were all like, well, what are we supposed to do? So access for institutions is now through a database, a couple of databases. So for us, it will be through CINAHL Ultimate or Academic Search Complete. Our links have already been changed and updated and to reflect this. So hopefully you won't see any interruptions in access. Okay, so now on to some good news and new titles that we're getting throughout the year. Okay, first for Oxford University Press, we subscribe to their All Journals collection, and we're getting 14 new titles to go along with the 392 we already get from them. The most notable additions to Oxford this year are the 3 titles from the American Thoracic Society, 3 titles from the Society for Research in Child Development, and then also individual titles such as Academic Medicine and the European Journal of Heart Failure. We're also gaining access to brand new titles that we've never had before, Journal of Nephrology and Molecular Omics. For Oxford, the majority of these new titles are on and active when we have our links updated, but some of them, they're still waiting for the full text, all of the articles to transfer from the old publisher. So they're just taking a little extra time. Another big addition for us this year is for BMJ, the British Medical Journal, and BMJ Publishing. Going into this year, they changed how they were going to offer subscriptions to institutions. So now we basically get everything that they publish that you would have to pay for. And going forward, we will be getting any new titles as they're added. So that's good news. This also meant that we gained 8 brand new titles, including BMJ Military Health and BMJ Supportive and Palliative Care, which I know have had high denials since we didn't have subscriptions previously. And they're also going to be adding at least 3 new journals by the end of this year. So that's some good news there. Okay. We're also continuing our subscription to the Sage Premier Collection, and we will be getting 18 new titles from them this year to go along with the 1,135 that we already had but from last year. We also renewed the Taylor and Francis Medical Library package. This year, they're adding all titles from the American Association on Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities. So that's the 3 titles you see there. We previously had subscriptions to the first 2. So now we have active subscriptions to those again, and we gained a title that we never had access from them before, and that's inclusion. All of those records are updated, and you can find them via the library's website. Okay. Another package that we renewed is the Wiley database model, which provides access to all subscription-based journals available from Wiley. But this year, although they have over 1,000 or 1,500 titles available, they really didn't gain very many. And there's only one title of note for us, which is the Journal of the Royal Society of New Zealand. So again, it's been kind of a down year for this package, which often happens. Some packages gain, some packages lose. So they were kind of just staying the course. We also continued our subscription to the Science Direct Freedom Collection, which gives us access to over 2,300 journals. They too are adding 10 new titles. The most notable for us is a new journal called Research in Neurodiversity. But they could be adding more throughout the year. Sometimes we know the new titles going into all packages at the beginning of the year, but sometimes there's other packages that just add titles just throughout the year. So there could be more added there. Another package we renewed is the ACS All Journals collection. They are introducing 2 new titles this year, but most notably, they will be the new home for Environmental Health Perspectives, which was formerly published by the National Institute of Environmental Health Services, but the content was removed due to federal funding cuts. But a couple weeks ago, ACS announced that they were going to be the new home for this journal, so we will be getting it. So that's good news all around. We also renewed, there's a lot of renewals. We also renewed our subscription to the Journal of Visualized Experiments, or JOVE research collection. But for this year, we have 1 year trial access to a selection of education modules. You can find the links to those on the library's website. We also had a news item about the JOVE the access to those modules for this year. There are also two packages, Clinical Key and the Lippincott, Williams, and Wilkins Total Access Collection, where they add many new titles throughout the year. So we will gain even more titles before this year is up. So be sure to keep an eye on our website for those new additions. Okay. Now let's move to some news about open access and fee waiver agreements that we offer. There are 3 types of agreements we have, but all of them rely on our subscribing to a journal or a group of journals. We in the library do not have a dedicated fund set aside to pay fee waivers, nor does the institution provide one. So the agreements we have are the ones that have been the most feasible for us, especially if they are included with the existing cost of our journal subscriptions. The types of agreements are membership, where the library pays for a journal and all fees are waived for publishing. Read and publish, where we effectively we subscribe to journals and we may have to pay extra for there to be fee waivers made available, and then subscribe to open, which is, like I mentioned with annual reviews, that the publisher sets a threshold where they get an X number of subscriptions, and then they make the content open access to everyone. However, if you are a subscribing institution, your authors do get the ability to have APCs waived, but the author will be responsible for any added fees. Sometimes they will charge page fees and figure fees and things like that. So those are really ones where part of it is waived, but not the whole fee. Okay. Regardless of the type of waiver, please keep these in mind. The corresponding author must be from our institution, from LSU HSCNO. Please use your lsuhsc.edu email address whenever you're submitting an article for publication. The waivers will only apply to those articles accepted for publication and only for eligible journals, which makes a difference, especially for one of our more popular offerings. And we do have a web page where you can see all of these guidelines and where we direct you to the eligible journals and all the other qualifications for these deals. And we'll look at that in just a moment. Okay. First, a note about annual reviews, again, because we canceled them. It used to be that you could get a fee waiver. Annual reviews were published where you would be invited to submit an annual review. But because we subscribed to it previously, you could have received a fee waiver. However, because now we no longer subscribe, that fee waiver is no longer available. So we apologize. Okay, so now on to the ones we do have. So our loan membership agreement is for BMJ case reports. You will need to contact us to get our institution's code when submitting a case report for publication. And they're pretty clear about where you can submit that code in order to get the fee waiver. And we have 3 read and publish agreements, which are ones where we subscribe to the journals and then may also pay a fee on top of that to get APC waivers. Okay. For Science Direct, please be sure to check the eligible title list before submitting. Once your article has been accepted, we receive a notification and then have to approve the waiver. We only have a very limited number of Science Direct waivers available each year. So starting with this year, we've instituted a new policy where the corresponding or primary author will be limited to 1 waiver per quarter. We really want to do this because we want to give more authors the opportunity to take advantage of this waiver. So we're not cutting it off, but we're just trying to distribute it as much as possible, especially since this is a very limited number that we have. We also have a read and publish agreement with the American Chemical Society, but all of their journals, as opposed to Science Direct, where it's only subscribed journals and not all of our subscribed journals and no open access journals, for ACS, all of their journals, including the open access journals, are included. Similar to Science Direct, we are notified to approve the fee waivers, but as opposed to Science Direct, it's unlimited. So please go pick an ACS journal that you want to publish in, and just please feel free, submit. Hopefully it's accepted, and yeah, we will say yes, please waive that fee. Okay. Our last read and publish agreement is with the Radiological Society of North America. There is no limit to the number of waivers that are available through this deal, but the society is responsible for identifying and waiving the fees, so we don't have to go in and approve them. The third group of fee waivers are those subscribe to open agreements. They are active just through our subscribing to journals, but the publishers are responsible for determining your eligibility for a waiver. Also, you, the author, will be responsible for any additional fees the publisher may impose. We have 3 confirmed subscribe to open offers from the American Society for Microbiology, the American Physiological Society, and the Biochemical Society. The Royal Society is still setting up their subscribe to open program for this year, so be sure to check our fee waiver webpage for updated info. They still are trying to hammer out all of these specifics. So let's go ahead and take a look at that webpage, just so that you know where to go when you want to check the qualifications and the eligible journals for all of these packages. Okay, so if I start at the If I start at the LSU homepage, if I click over here under menu, I go to library. And then, or you can use that link that's in the slides. One way to get to it would be under for faculty. We have open access and fee waiver agreements here. For researchers, open access and fee waiver agreements, and for clinicians here as well. So you can go to any of those. They go to the same page. So you click there, and then this breaks down the different categories of fee waivers that we have. So we have the unlimited article submissions. So BMJ, that's that membership. And so you would just click here, and you would have to contact us. Institutional fellowship code is needed. And then for the American Chemical Society, and this links to any information about submitting articles to them, and then RSNA as well. So here are the agreements and where you would submit your articles. Now for Science Direct, since that's the one that's limited and doesn't cover all of their journals, there's a lot of information in this one. So where you can, if you click here, you can search for the eligible journals after you accept their cookies. So if you type it in here, and if it comes up, then you know that it will, okay, so here we go. So we have, if it comes up there, you search, and this means that it is eligible. If it doesn't come up, then that pretty much means that it is not eligible for the waiver. Let me go back. And then for the subscribe to open, we've got the American Society for Microbiology, and it covers these journals. And then APS covers all of these journals, and the Biochemical Society covers these. There used to be another one, essays in, emerging topics, but that has ceased publication. And then once we get information about the Royal Society, we'll add another one here under the subscribe to open agreements. Okay. So also, while we're at the library's homepage, if I could just track back here under popular links, where you would go here, find a book or journal, click here to go to the library catalog, or to our e-journals and ebooks A to Z list there. And this is where you can search for journals. So this is where you would get to monoclonal antibodies and immunodiagnosis and immunotherapy. And you would just click right there, you would authenticate, and you're at the journal. Okay. So let me go back here. Oops. Sorry. Okay. And finally, well, I'm actually at the end here. So right. If we have a presentation feedback form, which we have that there. More info at the library's webpage. This is a quick link to our that open access information page, and this is my contact information. So, do we have any questions? Not in the chat. Okay, I'll give kind of ran through things a little quickly there. I'll give people maybe a couple minutes to review. I know it's a lot of information to digest. Right. So the January is often the busiest time for, at least for me, with all these journal changes and things like that. Sometimes it takes a little while for publishers to turn on journals, especially when they're moving from one place to another. Some publishers are really good about turning on access quickly. Other publishers, not so much. I generally know who's going to be troublesome and who's not. The BMJ journals, they took a couple of weeks to come on, but they're all finally on again now. So that's good news. And right, so as you can see, we get a lot of packages and we get a lot of journals. And then also with the open access fee waivers, we're kind of coming into our second year of offering those. But Science Direct was definitely very popular last year. So that's why we had to impose that little bit of a quarterly limit just to make it more equitable for more and give people more opportunity to publish. That we would really like to see people take advantage of the American Chemical Society and RSNA packages. Hopefully, maybe with the move of environmental health perspectives, that theoretically should be included in our agreement. So if you want to publish in environmental health perspectives once it's back up and running, because the entire website for environmental health perspectives went away. They just took it down. So once it's back up and running, maybe that'll be another opportunity. Okay. No questions? No? Okay. Well, if anyone has any questions later, you can contact any of us at the library through our homepage. Let me go back here. Through our homepage, we've got information there. We have our chat box, and then we have a staff listing as well if you want to contact anybody individually. So I want to thank everyone for attending and have a great day.